There is a two-letter code stamped on the edge of every single brake pad in this country. It is right there on the side of the pad, on the box, in plain sight. And almost nobody reads it. Not the guy buying pads at the parts counter, not half the people installing them. But those two little letters tell you something the packaging never will. Whether your brakes will still stop your car when they get hot. And when they get it wrong, you don't find out in the driveway. You find out at 60 miles an hour with a soft pedal and a stop sign coming up fast. Here's the trap. You walk into the parts store to do a simple brake job. You grab the box that looks just like the expensive one, but it's $40 cheaper. Feels like a win. Except inside that box there might be a pad that fades when it's hot, chews through your rotors, and squeals like a banshee at every stoplight. And a set of rotors doesn't cost $40. It can cost you 5, 6, 7 times what you thought you were saving. Today I'm going to show you exactly how to read that secret code so you're never fooled again. The 5 red flags that give away a dangerous pad. The truth about what actually destroys your brakes faster than any brand ever could. The brands that genuinely last. And one huge name that just went under a few months ago that a lot of shops are still selling off the shelf. And at the very end, stick around, because I'll give you the mechanic's trick that kills brake noise for good, the one even a lot of pros forget to do. This is Car Savvy USA. Let's get into it. Before we go further, let's be honest about something. Brake pads are not an enthusiast topic. They are the single most important part on your entire vehicle. You can have the best engine, the nicest paint, the loudest stereo. The day a kid runs out in front of you, none of that matters. The only thing that matters is those few square inches of friction material squeezing your rotors. That's what decides whether you stop in time or you don't. And yet, this is the exact part people try hardest to cheap out on. It makes sense. A brake pad hides behind the wheel. You never see it, so you figure the budget one is fine. But here's the thing. A bad pad doesn't just stop worse. It costs you more in the end than a good one. Let me show you the math. A reliable set of brake pads in the U.S. runs anywhere from about $30 to $60 an axle. Mid-grade, maybe $50 to $90. Premium, $90 to $150. Now look at the other side. A set of front rotors, depending on your vehicle, starts around $100 and climbs fast to $200-300 with labor. A cheap, hard, badly made pad wears your rotor unevenly, warps it, scores it. So you saved $40 on pads, and 6 months later, you're back paying for pads and rotors. A bill that blows past $500. You didn't save anything. You just delayed the cost and multiplied it. With brakes, the cheapest option is almost never the cheapest option. Good news is, you don't need to be a mechanic to avoid all of this. You just need to know what to look for. And it starts with those 2 letters I mentioned. Pick up a brake pad or look closely at the box. On the edge of the friction material, stamped right into it, you'll find a string of numbers and letters. That's called the edge code, and it's required by law on every pad sold in this country. Most of it is manufacturer info and part numbers. But there are 2 letters in there that matter more than anything else on that pad. 2 letters that tell you how well it actually grabs. Those 2 letters are the friction rating, set by a standard called SAEJ 866. Here's how it works, and it's simpler than it sounds. The scale runs from an E to an F to a G to an H. The higher the letter, the more friction, the more bite. E is around 0.3. F is around 0.4. G is around 0.5. H is the grippiest. Now, the key part. The first letter is the pad's grip when it's cold, in normal driving. The second letter is its grip when it's hot, after a long downhill or a bunch of hard stops in traffic. And this is where it gets important, so pay attention. What you want is 2 letters that are the same, or close. An F and an F, a G and a G. That means the pad grips the same whether it's cold or blazing hot. Consistent, predictable. Exactly what you want when you slam the pedal in an emergency. But here's the dangerous one. If that second letter is lower than the first, say it reads a G and then an E, or an F and then a D, that pad loses its grip when it gets hot. That's called brake fade. In normal driving, you'd never notice. But come down a long grade with the family loaded up or make a few panic stops, and suddenly the pedal goes soft and the car just doesn't want to stop. That's not a defect you can see. It's not a smell. It's two letters you could have read at the store for free. So before anything else, flip that pad over or check the box and find the friction code. If the second letter drops off or if the code is missing entirely, put it back. That one habit takes 3 seconds and it filters out the most dangerous pads on the shelf. The counter guy won't tell you this. Now you know it. Oh. The edge code is your first filter, but there are other warning signs, and I'll give you 5. And I want to be straight with you here. I'm not going to tell you this brand is garbage, because that would be dishonest. I've seen guys run 100,000 miles on pads other people swear are junk. The danger usually isn't hiding in a name. It's hiding in these signals. Here they are. Red flag number 5, the too good price. If a set of pads is 15 or 20 bucks when the average for your car is 40 or 50, be suspicious. Good friction material costs money to make. A price that's 3 times too low usually means a soft, cheap compound that wears fast, overheats, and starts squealing within a few thousand miles. A rock-bottom price isn't a deal. It's a warning. Red flag number 4, the no-name close-out brand. You find a brand you've never heard of, some generic name, sold only on a marketplace or a liquidation site, no instructions in the box, no real website, no data sheet. It's not automatically poison, but you have no way of knowing what you're getting. A real brake company stands behind its name and publishes its ratings. If the box is silent, be careful what's inside it. Red flag number 3, the fake ceramic label. The word ceramic sells because it sounds clean, quiet, and modern. So some makers slap ceramic on a box that's really just a cheap organic compound. Real quality ceramic pads cost real money. If you see ceramic printed huge on a $15 box, that's not ceramic. That's marketing. The word means nothing without the brand and the code to back it up. Red flag number 2, the pad that weighs nothing. This one's a mechanic's trick. Hold a quality pad in one hand and a cheap one in the other, and you can feel it. The good one is heavier, denser, the friction material is thicker, the backing plate is stiffer. The cheap one feels hollow, thin, like it was built to weigh as little as possible, because less material is cheaper to make. Less material also means fewer miles and more heat. If it weighs nothing, it's worth nothing. And red flag number 1, the sneakiest one, because it catches even the big names. The rock bottom line of a good brand. Here's the thing most people don't realize. A big brake brand isn't an automatic guarantee because most big brands sell several tiers. They've got a premium line that's excellent, and way down at the bottom, a budget line built to hit a cheap price point at the store. That bottom line exists to be the cheapest option, not the best one. So don't just trust the logo. Look at the tier. A great name on its economy line can let you down just as hard as a no-name. It's not the brand that protects you. It's the tier and the code. Now we get to my favorite part, because it's the one nobody wants to hear. You can bolt on the best pads money can buy. Premium, top of the line. And if you drive badly, you'll burn through them in record time and take your rotors with them. Because the truth is, the thing that destroys your brakes fastest isn't the brand. It's your right foot. Let me tell you about a comment I read under one of these videos, because it says it all. A guy said he was still riding on the factory front pads and rotors on his car at 144,000 miles, with plenty of material left. 144,000 miles on the original pads. And his line was perfect. He said, "It's amazing how long brakes last when you're not riding everyone's bumper, stabbing the brake every 5 seconds. That's the whole video, right there. Look at how most people drive. They accelerate toward a red light they can see from a quarter mile away, then stop the brake at the last second. They tailgate, so every time the car ahead taps its brakes, they tap theirs. They ride the pedal down a long grade until the pads get so hot they start to fade. Every one of those habits turns motion into heat inside your pads and rotors. And heat is the #1 enemy of braking. Now flip it. You look far ahead. You lift off the gas the second a light turns yellow and let the car slow itself down. Going downhill, you use engine braking, drop it a gear, instead of standing on the pedal. You leave a real gap so you're not braking for every little ripple in traffic. Do that and your brakes work less, run cooler, and last 2, sometimes 3 times longer. Bonus, you burn less gas and save your tires too. The best brake pad, when it comes down to it, is the one you barely use. Quick reminder while you're here. If this is helping you, hit that subscribe button. It genuinely helps the channel a ton and it keeps this stuff coming. Because in a minute, I'm getting to the brands I actually trust and one that just collapsed. But first, you needed to hear this. The best pads on earth won't save brakes that get abused. All right, now that you can spot the junk, let's talk about what to actually buy. And I'll give you the honest rule of thumb first. The brands that come on new cars from the factory are almost always safe bets because they were engineered and tested with the whole vehicle. Start with the Quiet All-Star. Que bono. This is the brand mechanics quietly swear by. They're an original equipment supplier for a ton of Honda, Acura, Nissan, and Toyota vehicles. Their ceramic pads are known for being long-wearing, super low dust, dead quiet, and easy on the rotors. If you want, install it and forget it. This is often the answer. Right next to it, factory original pads, the OEM ones. Not exciting, I know, and yes, they cost more. But they were designed with your exact ABS, your rotor metallurgy, your pedal feel. When in doubt, factory pads are the safest call there is. For strong, everyday quality, you've got Bosch. But here's the catch, and it's the same lesson as before. Bosch has a great premium line, their Quiet Cast, and a weak budget line. Same logo, totally different pad. Get the good tier. Wagner is the same story. Their OEX line is genuinely good and runs cool, even though their bottom-tier stuff is what gets them a bad rap. And if you actually drive hard, tow, or want serious bite, Hawk and PowerStop's higher lines, like the Z26, give you real stopping power that holds up at the cost of a little more dust and noise. Now, here's the fresh part, the thing almost no other video has caught up to yet. For years, 2 of the most recommended brake brands in America were Raybestos and Centric, and the performance name, StopTech. Well, as of early 2026, their parent company, First Brands, collapsed in a massive bankruptcy, and it officially wound down all 3 brake divisions. Production has stopped. There was no buyer. That means the boxes you still see on the shelf are old stock being liquidated, and behind them, the company that stood behind that warranty and that quality control is gone. I'm not telling you a leftover Raybestos pad will fail. I'm telling you that a brand with nobody behind it anymore is not the safe bet it used to be. Buy accordingly. We're almost done, but there's one last truth I owe you, and some shops would rather you never heard it. It's about when you get told to replace your pads, because there's a real gap between what's necessary for your safety and what's good for the register. Here are the numbers to keep in your head. A brand new pad has about 10 to 12 millimeters of friction material. Worn down to about 2 to 3 millimeters, it's time. Below that, you're into the backing plate, metal on metal, and you're destroying your rotors and risking your life. So 3 millimeters up front is your line in the sand. Simple. Now the secret. Plenty of shops will tell you your pads are in the red or need to be replaced today, when you've still got 4, 5, even 6 millimeters left. That's not nothing. That can be thousands of miles of life still in them. Getting told to replace at that point isn't about your safety. It's about selling a job. And I'll be fair, most mechanics are honest people, but the upsell is real, and now you can protect yourself. There's a related scam worth knowing too. Certain pads get pushed hard by shops, not because they're better, but because the markup is huge. Some of these premium upgrade pads get bought wholesale for $30 or $40 and installed for $150 on the promise that they're superior. Often, they're not. So how do you protect yourself? Simple. Always ask to see the measurement. A straight shop will show you the thickness on a gauge. You learn the numbers. 8 or 9, you're fine. 5, you've often got time. 3, now it's time. 2, you're done. But, and I need to be crystal clear, because this is your life, never gamble with safety to save a few bucks. The point of this secret isn't to ride worn-out pads to the metal. It's to keep you from paying for a job when you've got plenty of margin left. Never go below 3 millimeters up front. Ever. Not getting ripped off and staying safe aren't a trade-off. You do both. Let's bring it home, because we covered a lot. Before you buy pads, read the edge code, find the 2-letter friction rating, and if that second letter drops off or the code is missing, walk away. Watch for the 5 red flags. The too good price, the no-name closeout brand, the fake ceramic label, the pad that weighs nothing, and the budget tier of even the big brands. To buy smart, lean on the factory supplier names Akebono, OEM, Bosch and Wagner in their good tiers, Hawk or PowerStop if you drive hard. And remember that Raybestos, Centric, and StopTech just wound down, so treat that shelf stock with caution. Remember that your driving wears your brakes faster than any brand. And know that you sometimes get told to replace too soon, but that safety never gets negotiated below 3 millimeters. Do that, and you will never get played at the brake counter again. You'll pay a fair price, your brakes will last longer, and most importantly, you'll stop when it counts. If this saved you even one expensive mistake, it did its job. Hit like so it reaches more drivers who are about to get talked into the wrong pads, and subscribe, because this is Car Savvy USA, and every week we break down how to buy and maintain your car without getting ripped off. And since we're on the subject of doing the smart thing yourself and saving real money, there's another job where almost everyone messes up before they even start. I put together the things you need to know before your next oil change, and a few of them are going to surprise you. That video's on screen. I'll see you in the next one. Oh, before you go, I promised you one last thing, and it might be the most useful trick in this whole video. Because you can buy the best pads on earth, top of the line, and still end up with brakes that squeal 2 weeks later. And then you blame the pads, when it's almost never the pad's fault. Brake noise, 9 times out of 10, isn't the pad. It's the install. So here's the pro trick, the one even rushed mechanics skip. When you put new pads on, 2 moves change everything. First, clean and grease the caliper slide pins, those little metal pins the caliper rides on. Over time, they gunk up, the caliper stops sliding freely, and the pad drags on the rotor constantly, heats up, wears crooked, and makes noise. Clean them, use the right grease, and they slide like new. Second, put a thin layer of proper brake grease on the back of the pad, on the metal backing plate. Never on the friction surface, never on the side that touches the rotor. That's a disaster. Only the back. That kills the tiny vibrations that cause the squeal. And one last bonus, bedding them in. Brand new pads don't give their best right away. For the first 100, 200 miles, go easy. Avoid hard, panic stops, and let them break in with smooth, gentle braking. That lays down an even layer of material on the rotor, which gives you smooth, quiet, consistent braking and the longest possible life. 3 little moves, 0 noise, brakes that last. And now you know more about brake pads than most of the people selling them to you. Drive savvy. I'll see you in the next one.